£70 is a lot to spend on a Rubik's Cube. However, when you see the features that this cube is packing, your opinion may be swayed. I am of course talking about the GAN 13 MAGLEV. At the end of the video, I will say whether I think this cube is worth it, but before that, let's see the unboxing. I was very pleased by the quality of unboxing, as it really made me think I was opening a premium item. However, this is expected when buying something like this with such a steep price. Whilst I like the magnetisation of the box, I can't help but to think that if they didn't spend as much of our money on these features, the cube would be so much cheaper. In the box you get a cube case with the cube inside, as well as a few accessories. You also get a card. Looking inside the box, we have a cube bag, a cube station code, an instruction manual, and a pamphlet on how everything works. With even more magnets, we have the cube case. Inside, you get a small tool which resembles a SIM card ejector, which is hidden in the front of the case. Now taking a look at the actual cube and first turns. To be honest, this was not what I was expecting. Previous flagships from GAN came out of the box with a very fast and effortless turning style. However, this one seemed slower in comparison. It was by no means set up to where I wanted it to be. However, I did do an average of 12 on this, just to get a rough idea on how it performs. After this, I will set it up. Whilst it's not terrible, I did expect more from a cube at this price. The corner cutting was not up to my standard, which is quite a big thing for me. I usually main GAN cubes because of how effortless it is to corner cut on them, but that just wasn't the case on the 13. This is preference though, meaning that you might like it out of the box. Speaking of preference, I didn't like the magnet strength right away, and this caused some issues. I felt as though it didn't pull me into the next turn, which is something I want from a cube. This brings me to my next point, which is the repellent magnets in the edge pieces. I didn't feel as though they did that much, which is disappointing considering this was one of the main new features that differentiated the 13 from the 12. However, just before we set it up, it's not all bad news. I do really like the UV coating on this cube, as it gives me enhanced grip and really helps me over long averages. With all the cons so far, maybe 13 is an unlucky number for GAN. However, this could all turn around after a proper setup. For the setup, I changed a few things. To start with, I put the center travel to setting 4 because I thought that if it went any looser, the cube might pop. However, there is still a good amount of corner cutting on number 4 compared to the stock setup. Then to tension adjustment, where I chose number 4 again. This is because I prefer slightly more stability on the cube, as it allows me to push as fast as I can. Now onto the magnets, where I chose strength 5. This is quite a lot higher than the stock because I prefer my magnets to click the turns into place rather than glide over each other. I found that the tool to adjust all the settings was very simple. However, it wasn't the best design, but I will mention that later in the final thoughts section. Now we have the setup solves. I think that there is a drastic difference in the times compared to the stock, which shows that even if you aren't too keen on a cube to begin with, if you take some time to set it up, it can be amazing. The first time I got on this setup GAN 13 was a 13-second solve, which is really good for me. I think that even after tweaking the tensions and magnets on this cube, I still cannot feel too much of an impact from the repelling magnets on the edge pieces, which is disappointing. However, I now think that the corner cutting is well above average and the magnet strength is amazing for my turning style, which is great. I'm starting to like how this cube isn't as fast as the 12 or 13 when they first came out of the box, because I think that this one is so much more controllable, especially when turning roughly. I talked about the tension and magnet tool earlier, but I want to say how terrible it is. Much like I said in the review of the GAN 12, in the future I will probably just be using the screwdriver that came with the GAN 11. The adjustment tool on the 13 is just too small and not powerful enough. Something I don't like about this cube is that the magnet adjustment system is fairly hard to use. When going from setting 1 all the way back to 6, I struggled to use enough force as I was conscious of breaking the cube. Nonetheless, I do like how everything needed is already in the cube, and you don't have to have another box with spare magnet stems. So, do I think this cube is worth it? Yes.